In Germany, there is a right way and a wrong way to throw out an empty yogurt pot. Get it wrong, and the bin men can leave your bin on the curb, unemptied, with a bright sticker of shame stuck on the lid. Get it really wrong, and the fine can climb into the thousands. Germany runs on up to 7 different bins. It sorts its glass by color. It pays you actual cash to bring back your empty bottles. And to a newcomer, standing in the kitchen with a lid in one hand and a pot in the other, none of it makes the slightest sense. But it is not bureaucracy for its own sake. It is a machine, and every single household is a working part of it, which is why Germany recycles more of its rubbish than almost any country on earth. So here are the 7 rules of the German recycling machine, and nearly every one will feel illegal to an American. Rule 5 makes you sort glass by color and forbids you from doing it on a Sunday. Rule 6 pays you to return your trash. And the last one is the reason your neighbor knows exactly what you threw away this week. Get Rule 1 wrong, and the whole system quietly stops working in your favor. Rule 1 is the yellow bag, and it is the one that breaks people. Into the gelbe sack goes packaging, plastic wrap, yogurt pots, tin cans, aluminum foil, drinks cartons, not because of what they are made of, but because of what they are, packaging. And here is the part that sounds invented. That system was paid for before you ever bought the product. Companies pay a license, the Grüner Punkt, just to put packaging on the market, and that money funds collecting it back. So when you sort the yellow bag, you are not doing a chore. You are finishing a transaction that started in a factory as the last, unpaid step. Rule 2, the blue bin, sounds like the easy one. Paper, cardboard, magazines, flattened, in the blue bin. A child could do it. Until the pizza box. A clean cardboard box is paper. A cardboard box with grease and cheese welded to the bottom is not paper anymore. It is contaminated, and it goes somewhere else entirely. This is the moment every foreigner understands the rule was never about the material. It is about the material's condition. In Germany, a thing is not what it is made of. It is what state you hand it back in. Rule 3 is the brown bin, and it quietly does the most impressive thing on this list. Food scraps, coffee grounds, eggshells, garden clippings, all of it goes in the Biomüll, and it does not go to a hole in the ground. It is composted into soil or fermented into biogas that heats homes and runs buses. The banana peel is not rubbish here. It is a raw material with a job and a destination. You are not throwing it away. There is barely an away left in this country. Rule 4 is the black bin, the Restmüll, and it is defined entirely by what it is not. It is the everything else bin for whatever survives the other 3, and it is deliberately kept the smallest. Because here is the quiet genius of the whole thing. In most of Germany, you pay for the black bin by its size. The yellow, blue, and brown bins are free. So the more you sort out, the less you pay. Germany never ordered its citizens to recycle. It simply made recycling the cheap option and let self-interest do the rest. Nothing motivates a nation quite like a smaller bill. Rule 5 is where it gets genuinely strange. Glass does not go in a bin at your house at all. You collect it, you sort it by color, white, green, and brown, and you carry it to a communal container down the street, posting each bottle through the correct hole. It is loud, which is exactly why there are rules about when you are allowed to do it. Not late at night, and in many places, not on a Sunday, because a bottle bank at 9 in the morning on a day of rest is a noise complaint waiting to happen. Only in Germany is taking out the recycling something the neighbors can report you for. Rule 6 is the one Americans genuinely struggle to believe. On most bottles and cans, you pay a small deposit when you buy, a Pfand, between 8 and 25 cents. Feed the empty into a machine at any supermarket, and it simply gives the money back. So a drinks container in Germany is not litter. It is a coin you have not cashed yet. Around 98% of single-use bottles come back, one of the highest return rates anywhere on Earth. And on the rare chance you do drop one, someone will pick it up, because you did not drop rubbish, you dropped money. And Rule 7 catches everything the bins cannot. Batteries and dead electronics go back to the shops. Paint and chemicals go to the Wertstoffhof, the recycling yard. Old furniture waits for Sperrmüll day, when whole streets quietly stack their unwanted sofas on the curb. There is no "just throw it out" in Germany. There is only one question, asked a dozen times a day, in every kitchen and every hallway. Which system does this belong to? It is exhausting. It is also the entire point, because underneath all 7 rules sits the thing that makes a newcomer nervous. It is enforced. Sort your bin wrong and it can be left unemptied. Contaminate the shared bins in an apartment block and the whole building can be billed for it. And the worst offenses, illegal dumping, the wrong things in the wrong place at scale, really can be fined into the thousands. The numbers vary by region, and a single stray yogurt lid will not bankrupt you. But the principle is real. Here, getting rid of something is a responsibility, not a right. Now, the honest part, because this channel does not sell fairy tales. Germany's own recycling figures are argued over. Not everything that gets sorted is truly recycled. Some is burned for energy, some is shipped abroad. But even the skeptical number is among the highest in the world, and it is built on something the rest of us keep getting wrong. We keep waiting for one giant machine at the end of the pipe to fix our rubbish. Germany does not. It put a small machine at the start of the pipe instead, in every single kitchen, and made 40 million people into slightly annoyed but compliant operators of it. The system is not clever technology. It is a whole country agreeing to do the boring part. In America, we have one bin, a hopeful little arrow triangle, and a quiet suspicion that it all ends up in the same hole anyway. Often, it does. Germany's way is more bins, more rules, and more work. It is also the reason that here, the recycling actually gets recycled. Subscribe for more of how Germany quietly solved the boring problems the rest of us gave up on. And the next time you go to bin something without thinking, ask yourself the German question first. Which system does this belong to?